Remember when NBC thought it was a good idea to have two non-English speaking women host their own variety hour?
Ladies and gentlemen, I should tell you at this point that this is me and this is Kay.
Right!
Let's go back.
Tamagotchi,
of Y2K.
When I think about 1970s television, I generally think of shows like All in the Family, The Jeffersons, and one of my all-time favorite shows, MASH. But it also had its fair share of what I would call cheese TV. But I say that lovingly, of course. This was the era of the battle of the network stars and the soap opera boom, and what was coined as jiggle television with shows like Charlie's Angels and Three's Company. And I'm sure you can figure out where the term jiggle television came from. However, the biggest television show boom of the 70s was the celebrity-hosted variety shows. Most notably the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour, the Johnny Cash Show, and Donnie and Marie, just to name a few. Hell, even the Brady Bunch got their own hour. It felt as though if you were popular in the 1970s, you got your own variety hour. For better or for worse. In 1979, Walter Cronkite airs a story about the Japanese pop sensation Pink Lady on the CBS Evening News. The duo, consisting of childhood friends Mie and Kei, first got their start on a Japanese talent show, Star Tanjo, where they were offered their first recording contract and the snowball began to roll. Pink Lady mania spread across Japan, and by 1979 the two had a record 9 #1 hits in a row and held the #1 spot for a combined 63 weeks, also a record at the time. They became the faces of Japanese pop music in less than 4 years. After headlining a concert at, and forgive me if I say this wrong, Karakuen Stadium in Tokyo for over 100,000 fans, you couldn't go anywhere in the country without seeing their faces. Mie and Kei became spokeswomen for many, many different products. They had their own dolls, a feature film which translates to Pink Lady's big motion picture, and the highest honor you can get, their own anime series. When this news report aired, one of the viewers was the president of NBC at the time, Fred Silverman. He saw Pink Lady's popularity in Japan and basically said, let's bring them to America and give them a show. The original concept of the show was a new type of show that would heavily feature Japanese culture, but when it was pitched to Silverman, he said, no, let's just do Donnie and Marie.
Now you girls do speak English.
Oh yes! We spend many hours in Japan learning.
Now, this wasn't exactly true. In fact, Mie and Kei didn't speak or understand a word of English. I'm gonna now do my best impression of NBC after finding this out. Okay, no problem. Here's what we're gonna do. The girls want to sing their own songs, but screw that because musical numbers in a different language may turn off American viewers. What we're gonna do is have the girls record popular English songs phonetically and then have them lip sync them during the taping of the show. Oh, and you know how disco is basically dead at this point? Let's do a bunch of disco numbers. This was NBC's band-aid attempt to fix things. But you may be asking yourself, how are Mie and Kei going to host an English show all by themselves? This is where Jeff Altman comes into the picture. Jeff is a stand-up comedian, and at this point he's best known for his 40-plus appearances on Letterman and his reoccurring role as Boss Hogg's nephew on The Dukes of Hazzard. He's brought in to sort of compensate for the girls' language barrier. The show is then dubbed Pink Lady and Jeff, or just Pink Lady, depending on which ad spot they aired that night.
It's Mie and Kei.
It's Kei.
And Jeff. They're Japan's hottest superstars. Pink Lady in their American TV debut. He's hit comic Jeff Altman. Pink Lady, a new series coming soon on NBC.
You bet.
We finally made it. The variety show debuts on March 1st, 1980, but will only last 5 episodes before NBC pulls the plug. However, 6 episodes were filmed, so you bet your ass I sat down and watched all 6 of them. I'm not going to talk about each individual episode, but all 6 of them as a whole. Every episode opens the same way. Jeff comes out in a suit and does an opening monologue of sorts. It usually involves some political jokes, and he also really likes doing this thing where he acts like he's knocking himself out on the stool. That's show business, baby! After that, he introduces Mie and Kei to the audience, since probably most of the audience doesn't know who they are at this point. They stand next to Jeff and do a comedy routine in which Mie plays the kind one and Kei constantly sasses Jeff for being a bad comedian.
And you speak English too?
Yes. Do you?
Now I know this is from a different time, but there's so many Japanese stereotype jokes that tend to get old quick. I feel so bad for me and Kay because they probably had no idea at the time.
You were so handsome.
Oh, you just get turned on by my sexy round eyes.
I'm not even upset about the context of the joke. Like I said, this is a different time. I'm more upset because they're not very good. Written by a hack comedy room, it seems. And trust me, I know all about hack comedy. The opening monologue ends with the introduction of me and Kay's bodyguard, who is of course a sumo wrestler that comes and chases Jeff around. Again, this is how all 6 episodes begin.
Stay away from me, man. With me, not after me.
The last thing that happens at the beginning of each episode before they start to sort of attempt to do something new is me and Kay doing an opening number. They always come out in traditional Japanese robes and start to sing in Japanese before stripping off the robes to reveal a dress. Then they switch into a pop song like Boogie Wonderland, which is the first song they do on the show. To avoid music copyright, you'll just have to imagine it. Let me just say the songs are okay, nothing special, which is what you would expect from 2 performers singing phonetically in a different language. I mean, we saw what happens when an English speaker tries to do English phonetically.
The wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
But I'm sure they're much better vocalists in their native tongue, so I'm not going to critique the performances because I think they're doing the best with what they were given. Same thing with Jeff. I'm sure the majority of these jokes and bits didn't come from him either. He was just trying to make a name for himself. They also love doing this bit where Jeff will ask the girls a question and then they'll answer it with yes, hesitate, and then say no. It happens a lot. It's almost like, look at these silly foreigners. They don't even know who Johnny Carson is.
Language, right?
No. Yes.
One thing I did find interesting about the show was it featured a young Jim Varney in the sketch group cast. And he was genuinely funny in some of his bits. You could just tell he had that it factor before he became a household name with Ernest. Let's talk a bit about the special guest stars for each episode. Now, half the musical guests were recorded elsewhere like Blondie and Cheap Trick, so I won't be talking about them. There's sort of music videos that were played within the episode. This was 1 year before MTV launched as well, so I guess you could say the show was ahead of its time in one way. In the first episode, Sherman Hemsley shows up for a couple of bits, including one about women being drafted into the army and the men dress up and sing like the Andrews Sisters as they're heckled and catcalled by the women. Oh, Sherman, you did not get paid enough for this. Bert Parks. I just realized I should probably be saying who these people are for the younger folks watching. Although I think Sherman Hemsley is still instantly recognizable from the Jeffersons. Bert Parks, on the other hand, I didn't even know. He was the host of Miss America for decades. In fact, he was just freshly fired from the job when he appeared on Pink Lady and Jeff. Nothing to note here. Episode 2 featured 4 guests. The first was Donny Osmond. He sings a couple of songs with Pink Lady and is briefly involved in a sketch where the girls visit New York for the first time. Singer Teddy Pendergrass also does a song with the girls. Now, Sid Caesar and Larry Hagman I want to talk about briefly because I have notes. Let's start with Larry Hagman, who is most famous for playing JR on Dallas. Now, as I'm sure you might not be surprised, it was difficult booking guests for this show. Hagman seemingly got the best deal out of all of them because he received $15,000 and a TV movie deal just to make an appearance. He does this bit where he threatens Jeff in character as JR, but then is really nice to Pink Lady. It's fine. Comedian Sid Caesar, on the other hand, makes 3 appearances through 3 episodes in which I can only assume they filmed them all in the same day because it's the same bit. He plays the girl's father, who is a bit overprotective when they start dating 2 American men played by Varney and Altman. And well, let's just say it didn't age that well. Episode 3 featured Greg Evigan, who was at the time on BJ and the Bear, and you bet your ass his chimp co-star was there. All I could think about here while I was watching it was the scene from Jordan Peele's Nope. If you know, you know. Hugh Hefner and some of the Playmates are also there. He's featured in a sketch where Jeff does a bunch of impressions trying to get into the party. And let me tell you, Jeff Altman loves doing a Nixon impression.
My fellow Americans, good evening, of course. How do you do, of course?
Episode 4 featured Brady Bunch's Florence Henderson singing America the Beautiful for some reason. Nothing wrong with that, just an odd choice because generally I only hear that song before sports events. I was fully expecting someone to shout, "Play ball!" at the end. Lorne Greene from Bonanza. That's it. There wasn't much to note from his appearance on the show. I can say with the utmost confidence that Lorne Greene was indeed there. Oh, and Boomer the dog was there from Here's Boomer, and it was the first time I perked up in about 3 hours of watching. Look at him. What a good boy. You're too big for this show, aren't you? Moving on. Episode 5 has comedian Red Buttons, comedian Jerry Lewis, and musician Alice Cooper. This entire episode was a blur to me. Fatigue was definitely starting to kick in. The only thing I really remember is how different Alice Cooper looked without his usual makeup. I spent the whole time wondering if they just had an Alice Cooper lookalike, because I wouldn't put it past the network to do something like that. The final episode that never aired on television featured Bobby Vinton, Byron Allen, and singer Roy Orbison, where he performs his hit Pretty Woman. Every single one of these episodes featured Jeff's televangelist character and a character selling knockoff art or something. It didn't really work the first time, so they decided to do it 5 more times to see if that would help. What else happens in all these episodes is a lot of Japanese stereotypes. I didn't touch on all of them because, like in the show, it becomes a bit redundant. There were superimposed numbers, which I absolutely loved. I mean, look at this. They need to bring this effect back. I was fascinated every time it happened. What can I say? I'm easily entertained. And if exploiting me and Kay's culture wasn't enough, they loved putting them in tight-fitting and revealing clothing. The whole thing sort of felt like it was produced by the Weinstein Company. And every episode ends with the girls dressed in bikinis luring Jeff into a hot tub.
Oh my God! Oh my, what are you doing? Oh, you girls are crazy. I mean, this suit cost me over $30.
Anyway, what did I miss? Oh right, in my notes I meant to show you this clip that didn't age well because it gave me a laugh for a very different reason.
When is Bill Cosby coming back?
Not soon.
I think you girls dodged a bullet there. I for one am happy that Cosby wasn't anywhere near catering for the show. And there you have it, about as much as I can cover when it comes to the Pink Lady and Jeff Variety Hour. As for where they are today, Jeff Altman hasn't done a lot since. Apparently he was the voice of Uncle Carl in the Bee Movie. He has also credited Pink Lady and Jeff for killing his career. Pink Lady ended up splitting up 1 year later. They got back together, split up again, and back together so many times. But in 2010 they held a press conference announcing there would be no more splits of the group, and they were still touring today. Thanks for sticking around for this strange story from pop culture. This was originally meant to be part of a channel surfing video, but I just kept going down a rabbit hole. I decided to do an entire video on it. In the end, this was on a lot of TV's worst lists, but I don't believe this even scratches the top 50. There have been so many bad things that have aired on television over the years, some that I've shown on this channel. Top 50 worst executive decisions in television, you might have a case for that. Right behind whoever gave the green light to Two Broke Girls. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to join the free community Discord. The link is in the description below. Every like this video gets goes to revitalizing Jeff Altman's career. Bye everyone.
You know, girls, I'm beginning to get the feeling that we're gonna make a terrific team.
Don't bet on it.